In the vast expanse of the galaxy, countless species had risen and fallen. Civilizations bloomed like stars in the night sky, only to fade into obscurity. Among these forgotten races was humanity, a species once thought to be primitive, but now reduced to nothing more than myths and legends whispered by alien tongues. 500,000 years had passed since humans last walked among the stars, leaving behind their blue-green homeworld, Earth, as a relic of the past. The Xylarians were one such alien race that dominated much of the known galaxy. They were tall, beings with shimmering, translucent skin that reflected light like crystal. Their eyes glowed faintly, giving them an almost ethereal appearance. Arrogant and proud, they believed themselves to be the pinnacle of evolution. Their leader, Vorax, often boasted about how his people would conquer every corner of the galaxy, including places abandoned by older civilizations. Vorax saw Earth as little more than a curiosity, a planet where an ancient species called humans had once thrived. To him, it was just another trophy to add to his collection. He ordered 2 archaeologists, Hyung-Soo and Ji-Yoon, to travel to this desolate world and uncover any remnants of human history. Both were young scientists eager to prove themselves. Though their personalities couldn't have been more different, Hyung-Soo was brash and confident, always quick to dismiss ideas that didn't align with his own beliefs. He viewed the mission to Earth as a waste of time, convinced that humans were no more advanced than insects crawling on rocks. Ji-Yoon, on the other hand, was thoughtful and curious. She approached her work with care and respect, always open to new possibilities. While Hyung-Soo scoffed at the idea of finding anything worthwhile on Earth, Ji-Yoon felt a strange pull toward the planet, as if it held secrets waiting to be uncovered. Their journey began aboard a sleek Xylarian spacecraft, gliding silently through the void of space. As they approached Earth, the sight of the planet took Ji-Yoon's breath away. Despite its age, Earth still shimmered with life. Oceans glistened under the sunlight, forests stretched endlessly across continents, and clouds swirled lazily in the atmosphere. It looked peaceful, almost inviting. But Hyung-Soo remained unimpressed. "Looks like any other backwater rock," he muttered, rolling his eyes. Once they landed, the air was thick with the scent of damp soil and vegetation. The landscape around them was overgrown, with trees towering high above their heads and vines creeping along the ground. What caught their attention, however, were the ruins peeking out from beneath layers of moss and dirt. These structures, crumbling yet majestic, hinted at a civilization far greater than either of them had imagined. Guided by scans from their equipment, they ventured deeper into what appeared to be the remains of a city. The architecture was unlike anything they'd seen before. Smooth metallic surfaces blended seamlessly with natural stone, creating a harmonious balance between technology and nature. At the heart of the ruins stood a massive dome, partially buried but still intact. Its surface gleamed faintly as if alive. Inside the dome, they discovered something extraordinary: holographic displays suspended in mid-air, showing images of humans building cities, exploring space, and creating machines beyond comprehension. Each recording told a story of ingenuity and ambition. One display showed humans constructing towering skyscrapers that reached toward the heavens. Another depicted spaceships launching into orbit, carrying explorers to distant worlds. Hyung-Soo sneered at the images. "Primitive nonsense," he said, shaking his head. "They probably stumbled upon all this by accident." Ji-Yoon, however, couldn't take her eyes off the holograms. There was something mesmerizing about them, an undeniable intelligence and creativity that defied Hyung-Soo's dismissive attitude. She pointed to a particular image of a machine so complex it seemed impossible for a primitive species to create. "Look at this," she said softly. "Do you really think they did this by chance?" As they explored further, Ji-Yoon noticed strange symbols etched into the walls. Unlike the flowing elegance of the holograms, these markings were sharp and angular, almost warning-like. Her instincts told her to tread carefully. She ran her fingers over the symbols, feeling a faint vibration beneath her touch. Suddenly, the room hummed with energy, and panels along the walls lit up with glowing blue light. "What did you do?" Hyung-Soo demanded, stepping back nervously. "I don't know," Ji-Yoon replied, equally startled. The lights revealed even more information, maps of star systems, schematics of weapons, and detailed plans for defenses designed to protect Earth from invaders. Ji-Yoon's heart raced as she realized the implications. This wasn't just a museum or archive. It was a fortress. Before she could process everything, a voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't spoken aloud, but resonated directly in their minds. "You are not welcome here." Yong-Soo froze, his bravado melting away. What is that?" Ji-Eun turned slowly, searching for the source of the voice. Then, out of the shadows, a figure emerged. It was humanoid, but not entirely solid, its form flickering like static on a screen. Its features shifted constantly, making it hard to focus on any single detail. When it spoke again, its tone was calm, but firm. "I am Kyung-min, a guardian of this world. Leave now or face the consequences." Yong-Soo laughed nervously, trying to mask his fear. "This is some kind of trick, right? Just a projection?" Kyung-min ignored him, addressing Ji-Eun instead. "You sense the truth, do you not? Humanity has not vanished. We have evolved. These ruins are our legacy, and we will defend them against all threats." Ji-Eun nodded slowly, her mind racing. If what Kyung-min said was true, then humanity wasn't extinct. It had transcended physical existence, becoming something far greater. And yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that danger loomed ahead. Whatever humanity had left behind, it wasn't meant to be disturbed lightly. "Come on," Yong-Soo urged, tugging at her arm. "Let's get out of here before things get worse." But Ji-Eun hesitated. Something about Kyung-min's presence filled her with both awe and dread. She knew they had stumbled onto something monumental, something that could change the course of galactic history. As they exited the dome, the forest seemed darker, the air heavier. Earth was watching them, and it was far from defenseless. Little did they know, their actions had already set events into motion. Back on their ship, automated signals transmitted data about their findings to the Xylarian Empire. Vorax listened, intently, his expression unreadable. When the transmission ended, he leaned back in his chair, stroking his chin thoughtfully. A sinister smile spread across his face. "So, the primitives left toys behind, did they?" he mused aloud. "Perhaps it's time we put them to good use." Unbeknownst to him, Earth's defenses stirred quietly, preparing for the storm that was sure to come. The discovery on Earth spread like wildfire through the galaxy. News traveled fast, in an age where communications spanned light years in mere moments. The Xylarian Empire, eager to assert its dominance, broadcasted every detail of Hyung-Soo and Ji-Eun's findings. Alien species across the stars tuned in, curious about the so-called primitive humans who once called Earth home. Some laughed at the absurdity of it all, mocking the Xylarians for wasting time studying relics of a dead race. Others listened with mild interest, but dismissed the reports as exaggerations. Among those laughing loudest were the Zarnok, a hive-minded insectoid species known for their ruthless efficiency, and the Valith, aquatic beings with translucent bodies that shimmered like water under sunlight. Both races prided themselves on their technological superiority and saw the Xylarians' fascination with Earth as petty and foolish. "Humans? Primitive apes who crawled out of mud?" scoffed one Zarnok leader during a council meeting. "Why waste breath speaking of them?" But Vorax, the Xylarian leader, wasn't amused. His pride stung by the ridicule. He doubled down on his claim that humanity's legacy held untold treasures, perhaps even weapons or technologies that could cement his empire's place as rulers of the galaxy. To prove his point, he ordered Ji-Eun and Hyung-Soo to extract more data from Earth's ruins. Meanwhile, he began assembling a fleet to invade the planet, intending to strip it bare of anything valuable. Back on Earth, Ji-Eun struggled to make sense of what she had seen inside. The dome, the holograms, the schematics, the warnings etched into the walls, all pointed to a civilization far more advanced than anyone had imagined. But it was Kyung-min's words that haunted her most. "Humanity has evolved," the entity had said. What did that mean? Had humans transcended mortality entirely, leaving behind only echoes of their former selves? Hyung-soo, on the other hand, remained stubbornly dismissive. He refused to believe that humanity could be anything more than a footnote in galactic history. "It's all just junk," he insisted, waving off Ji-eun's concerns. "Old machines, outdated tech. Even if there's something useful down there, it's probably useless now." Despite his bravado, Hyung-soo couldn't ignore the growing tension around them. The forest surrounding the ruins seemed alive, watching their every move. Strange sounds echoed through the trees at night. Whispers carried by the wind, faint hums coming from the ground beneath their feet. Ji-eun felt it too, a constant pressure pressing against her mind, as though Earth itself was trying to communicate. One evening, while setting up camp near the ruins, Ji-eun decided to investigate further. Armed with a portable scanner, she ventured into the dense jungle alone, leaving Hyung-soo snoring loudly by the fire. She followed the faint vibrations she'd felt earlier, tracing them deeper into the wilderness. The air grew colder as she moved, and the plants around her seemed to shrink back, wilting under some unseen force. Finally, she reached a clearing where the source of the vibrations lay hidden beneath layers of moss and dirt. Using her tools, she carefully uncovered what appeared to be a circular platform engraved with the same angular symbols she'd seen in the dome. As soon as she touched it, the ground trembled, and a beam of light shot upward, forming a holographic figure before her. It was Kyung-min again, though this time his form was clearer, more defined. His face shifted between countless expressions, each one fleeting but filled with emotion. Sadness, anger, determination. They flickered across his features like ripples on water. When he spoke, his voice resonated deeply within her chest. "You have returned," he said. "Do you understand now why we guard this place?" Ji-eun swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. I think so," she stammered. "But I don't know what you want me to do. My people, they won't listen. They'll come here, take whatever they can find, and destroy everything." Kyung-min tilted his head, studying her intently. "Not all of your kind are blind to the truth. You see it, don't you? The potential for destruction. The arrogance of those who believe themselves superior." She nodded slowly. "Yes, I see it. But I'm just one person. How can I stop them?" "You cannot," Kyung-min admitted. "But you can warn them. Tell them this. Humanity may no longer exist in flesh and blood, but our will remains. If provoked, we will act. This is not a threat. It is a promise." Before Ji-eun could ask more questions, the hologram dissolved, leaving her standing alone in the clearing. Her heart pounded as she realized the weight of what she'd been told. Humanity wasn't gone. It was watching, waiting, and ready to defend itself if necessary. When she returned to camp, Hyung-soo was awake and pacing anxiously. "Where were you?" he demanded, glaring at her. "You shouldn't wander off like that. It's dangerous out here." "I needed to think," she replied evasively, avoiding his gaze. She wanted to tell him about Kyung-min, about the warning she'd received, but she knew he wouldn't believe her. Instead, she changed the subject. "We should leave soon. Something doesn't feel right about this place." Hyung-soo snorted. "Of course it doesn't feel right. It's a ruin, Ji-eun. That's the whole point. Now let's get some rest. We've got work to do tomorrow." As dawn broke over the horizon, they returned to the dome, determined to gather as much information as possible before reporting back to Vorax. Inside, they discovered new sections of the facility that hadn't been accessible before. Panels slid open, revealing corridors lined with glowing blue lights. The air crackled with energy, and the walls seemed to pulse rhythmically, almost like breathing. Ji-eun hesitated at the entrance, unease prickling at the edges of her mind. "Are you sure we should go in?" she asked. Hyung-soo rolled his eyes. "Relax, it's just another part of the ruins. Besides, if we don't explore it, someone else will." They stepped inside, their footsteps echoing eerily in the narrow hallway. Along the walls, screens displayed images of Earth's past, cities bustling with life, spacecraft launching into orbit, and vast networks of satellites encircling the planet. But as they moved deeper, the images shifted. Scenes of war replaced peace, showing massive armies clashing and cities reduced to rubble. Then came depictions of Earth abandoned, its surface reclaimed by nature. At the end of the corridor, they found a large chamber filled with consoles and monitors. In the center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a crystalline orb pulsing with golden light. Hyung-soo approached it eagerly, reaching out to touch it. "This must be important," he said, grinning. "Imagine the power this thing holds." "No!" Ji-un shouted, lunging forward to stop him, but it was too late. As soon as his fingers brushed the orb, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Lights flashed red and mechanical voices boomed in a language neither of them understood. "What did you do?" Ji-un cried, panic rising in her throat. "I didn't do anything!" Hyung-soo snapped, backing away from the orb. "It's probably just a security system. Nothing we can't handle." But Ji-un knew better. She remembered Kyung-min's warning and realized they had triggered something far beyond their control. From the walls, drones emerged. Small, sleek machines armed with weapons that glowed ominously. They hovered silently, locking onto the intruders with unblinking sensors. "We need to leave. Now!" Ji-un urged, grabbing Hyung-soo's arm and pulling him toward the exit. But the drones blocked their path, forcing them back into the chamber. One of them extended a limb, pointing directly at Hyung-soo. "This individual poses a threat," a cold, mechanical voice announced. "Elimination authorized." Hyung-soo froze, his face pale with terror. "What does that mean? Elimination? No, wait!" Ji-un stepped in front of him, raising her hands in surrender. "Please, stop. We didn't mean any harm. We're just explorers, scientists." The drones paused, tilting their heads as if considering her plea. After a tense moment, the same voice responded. "Assessment complete. Threat level reduced. Evacuate immediately." Without hesitation, Ji-un dragged Hyung-soo out of the chamber, their hearts pounding as they sprinted through the corridors. Behind them, the facility began to seal itself off, doors slamming shut and lights dimming until the entire structure fell silent once more. By the time they reached their ship, both were trembling with exhaustion and fear. Hyung-soo slumped into his seat, muttering curses under his breath. Ji-un stared out the window at the forest below, her mind racing. She knew they had narrowly escaped disaster, but she also knew it wouldn't be the last time Earth defended itself. As their ship ascended into orbit, Ji-un glanced back at the planet one final time. Despite its beauty, Earth no longer felt like a relic of the past. It felt alive, aware, and ready to fight. And somewhere deep inside, she wondered if humanity's return would bring salvation or devastation to the galaxy. Little did she know, her actions had already set off a chain reaction. Back on Xylar, Vorax watched footage of the incident with growing fury. "So, the primitives left traps after all," he growled, slamming his fist on the table. "No matter. We'll tear their defenses apart and claim what's ours." Unbeknownst to him, Earth's automated systems transmitted a signal into the void, a call to arms, awakening dormant forces scattered across the stars. Humanity's network stirred, preparing for the battle ahead. The galaxy would soon learn that boasting about conquest came with a price, one far greater than anyone could imagine. The Xylarian fleet arrived in Earth's orbit with an air of arrogance, their ships gleaming like jewels against the blackness of space. Vorax stood on the bridge of his flagship, his translucent skin glowing faintly as he gazed down at the blue-green planet below. To him, Earth was nothing more than a prize to be claimed, a trophy that would silence the laughter of rival species and cement his empire's dominance over the galaxy. "Begin the assault," Vorax commanded, his voice cold and sharp. "Show these primitives what happens when they dare to defy us." Hyung-soo and Ji-un watched from their small transport ship as the massive armada descended toward Earth. Hyung-soo clenched his fists, still shaken by their encounter with the drones, but unwilling to admit fear. "This is it," he muttered, trying to sound confident. "They'll blast those machines into dust and take whatever they want." Ji-un said nothing, her eyes fixed on the screens showing the approaching fleet. She had seen glimpses of Earth's defenses firsthand and knew they were far beyond anything the Xylarians could imagine. Still, doubt gnawed at her. Could humanity truly stand against such overwhelming force? And even if they could, what would happen afterward? As the first wave of Xylarian ships entered Earth's atmosphere, The planet responded almost immediately. From hidden bunkers buried deep beneath mountains and oceans, automated drones surged upward, their sleek forms cutting through the sky like knives. Each drone was equipped with weapons powered by quantum energy, technology so advanced it seemed almost magical to the invaders. The battle began without warning. One moment, the Xylarian ships floated confidently above Earth's surface. The next, they were engulfed in beams of light that sliced through their hulls like paper. Explosions lit up the sky, sending shock waves rippling across the atmosphere. Pilots screamed as their vessels disintegrated around them, reduced to nothing, more than ash and debris. On the flagship, Vorax stared in disbelief at the chaos unfolding before him. "What is this?" he roared, slamming his fist onto the control panel. "How can they have such power?" "They must have salvaged ancient human tech," one of his officers suggested nervously. "It's not possible for primitives to create something like this." Vorax's glowing eyes narrowed. "Primitives or not, they will pay for this insult." He barked orders to his crew, directing reinforcements to swarm the planet and overwhelm its defenses. But no matter how many ships they sent, the drones continued to strike with terrifying precision, picking off targets one by one. Back on the transport ship, Ji-eun gripped the edge of her seat tightly, her knuckles white. The screens showed endless streams of data tracking the movements of both sides. She saw patterns in the drones' attacks, calculated, efficient, and merciless. They weren't just fighting blindly. They were executing a strategy designed to dismantle the enemy piece by piece. "They're winning," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. "Earth's defenses, they're unstoppable." Yong-Su glared at her, frustration boiling inside him. "Stop saying that! We're Xylarian. We don't lose to anyone, let alone some dusty old machines left behind by dead humans." But even he couldn't deny the truth. The once mighty fleet was crumbling under the relentless assault. Ships exploded in fiery bursts, their wreckage raining down onto Earth's surface. Survivors tried to retreat, only to be chased and destroyed by the drones. It was a massacre, plain and simple. As the battle raged on, Kyung-min appeared once again aboard the transport ship. His flickering form materialized in front of Ji-eun, startling Yong-Su so much he nearly fell out of his chair. "You!" Yong-Su shouted, pointing an accusing finger. "What are you doing here? Did you cause all this?" Kyung-min ignored him, focusing instead on Ji-eun. "The time has come," he said calmly. "Humanity's legacy will not be taken lightly. Those who threaten our world will face consequences." Ji-eun swallowed hard, her mind racing. "Is there no other way? Can't you stop this before it gets worse?" "There is no stopping it now," Kyung-min replied. "War has been declared, not by us, but by those who seek to conquer. We merely respond." Yong-Su scoffed, shaking his head. "This is insane. You're just a projection, a ghost. How can you possibly fight an entire fleet?" Kyung-min turned to him, his shifting, features settling into an expression of quiet anger. "Do not mistake my form for weakness. Humanity may no longer walk among the stars, but our will remains eternal. These machines are but tools, extensions of our resolve." Before either of them could respond, alarms blared throughout the transport ship. A squadron of drones had locked onto their position, surrounding them with glowing weapons charged and ready to fire. Yong-Su panicked, frantically punching buttons on the console. "We need to get out of here, now!" Ji-eun hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. She looked at Kyung-min, searching for answers. "Will they attack us too?" Kyung-min tilted his head slightly. "That depends on your intentions. If you mean harm, then yes. If not..." The drones paused, hovering silently as if waiting for instructions. After a tense moment, they moved aside, allowing the transport ship to escape unharmed. Yong-Su didn't waste a second, piloting the vessel away from Earth as fast as possible. Once they were safely out of range, he slumped back in his seat, breathing heavily. "What just happened?" he demanded, glaring at Ji-eun. "Why didn't they kill us?" "I don't know," Ji-eun admitted, though she suspected Kyung-min had intervened on their behalf. She glanced out the window at the distant flashes of light marking the ongoing battle. Despite their narrow escape, she felt no relief, only dread. This was only the beginning. News of the Xylarian defeat spread quickly through the galaxy, sparking panic among other alien races. Some laughed openly at the arrogance of the Xylarians, mocking their failure to conquer a supposedly primitive world. Others grew fearful, wondering what kind of power could annihilate an entire fleet so effortlessly. Among those who took notice were the Zarnok and the Valith. Both species had initially dismissed Earth as irrelevant, but now they began to reconsider. The Zarnok leader, a towering insectoid named Krasnix, summoned his council to discuss the situation. "If the humans' machines are capable of such destruction, then we cannot ignore them," he declared, his mandibles clicking sharply. "We must act before they turn their attention to us." The Valith, meanwhile, approached the matter with caution. Their leader, a graceful aquatic being named Lysira, convened a meeting of her advisors. "The Xylarians underestimated their opponent," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. "We must not make the same mistake. If the humans' defenses are as formidable as reported, then direct confrontation would be foolish." Both species agreed on one thing. Earth posed a threat that needed to be neutralized. Rather than risk another embarrassing defeat, they decided to join forces with the remnants of the Xylarian fleet. Together they formed a coalition determined to crush humanity's defenses once and for all. Vorax, desperate to reclaim his honor, welcomed the alliance eagerly. "With our combined strength, we will obliterate those machines and claim Earth's secrets for ourselves," he vowed, his glowing eyes burning with renewed determination. As the coalition gathered near Earth's solar system, preparations for a second assault began in earnest. Massive warships bristling with weapons assembled in formation, while strategists pored over data from the first battle, searching for weaknesses in Earth's defenses. They believed that sheer numbers would overwhelm the drones, forcing humanity's hand and revealing the source of their power. Unbeknownst to them, Earth's network had already anticipated their move. Automated factories hidden beneath the planet's surface churned out new waves of drones, each one more advanced than the last. Satellites in orbit adjusted their trajectories, forming a web of sensors designed to detect and counter any incoming threat. Humanity's consciousness, spread across countless systems, monitored every movement, calculating probabilities and planning responses. Ji-Yun, still aboard the transport ship with Yong-Su, found herself caught in the middle of the brewing storm. She knew the coalition's plan was doomed to fail, but she also understood the cost of humanity's retaliation. Every ship destroyed meant lives lost, not just soldiers, but innocent beings dragged into a war they didn't fully understand. "We have to warn them," she said suddenly, breaking the silence between her and Yong-Su. "If we tell them to leave Earth alone, maybe they'll listen." Yong-Su snorted derisively. "And why would they listen to us? We're just two scientists. What do we know about war?" "We know enough," Ji-Yun insisted. "We've seen what Earth can do. If we don't try to stop this, it'll only get worse." Reluctantly, Yong-Su agreed to help. Using the transport ship's communication array, they broadcast a message to the coalition fleet. "This is Ji-Un and Hyung-Su," Ji-Un began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "Do not attack Earth. Its defenses are far beyond anything you've faced before. Turn back now, or you will suffer the same fate as the Xylarians." The response came swiftly, delivered by Krasnix himself. "Your warnings mean nothing to us," the Zarnok leader growled. "We will not be intimidated by ghosts or machines. Prepare yourselves, for we are coming." Ji-Un closed her eyes, feeling a pang of sorrow. She had tried, but the coalition's pride and greed blinded them. To reason, there would be no turning back now. The galaxy was in shock. News of Earth's devastating victory over the coalition fleet spread like wildfire, carried by terrified survivors and intercepted transmissions. Alien species that had once mocked humanity as a forgotten relic now whispered its name with fear. Rumors swirled about the true nature of the humans. Were they gods? Machines? Spirits of vengeance awakened from slumber? No one knew for certain, but one thing was clear. Earth was no longer a target to be conquered. It was a force to be reckoned with. On Xylar, Vorax paced furiously in his war room, his glowing skin dimmed with frustration. His empire, once feared, across the stars, had been humiliated. Ships lay in ruins around Earth's orbit, their crews lost or scattered. The Zarnok and Valith, too, had suffered heavy losses. Leaders of both races demanded answers and revenge. But Vorax wasn't ready to give up just yet. He called an emergency meeting of what remained of the coalition, determined to salvage his shattered pride. "We cannot let this stand," Vorax declared, slamming his fist on the table. "If we do nothing, the galaxy will see us as weak. We must strike back harder than ever before." Krasnix, the towering insectoid leader of the Zarnok, clicked his mandibles in agreement. "The humans' machines are powerful, yes, but they are not invincible. Together, we can crush them." Lysira, the graceful aquatic ruler of the Valeth, floated silently in her water-filled chamber, her shimmering form rippling with thought. Unlike the others, she approached the situation with caution. "We must learn from our mistakes," she said softly. "Attacking blindly will only lead to more failure. We need a plan, one that accounts for their defenses." Vorax sneered at her hesitation. "Planning is for cowards. This is war, Lysira. Either fight or step aside." But Lysira held her ground. "And rushing into battle without understanding your enemy is foolishness. If we wish to succeed, we must adapt." After hours of heated debate, the coalition reluctantly agreed to combine their resources and intelligence. They pooled data gathered from the first assault, analyzing every detail of Earth's defenses. Scientists worked tirelessly to reverse engineer fragments of destroyed drones recovered from the wreckage. Strategists mapped out new attack patterns, hoping to exploit any weaknesses in humanity's network. Slowly, a plan began to take shape. A massive, coordinated strike designed to overwhelm Earth's automated systems and expose the source of their power. Meanwhile, aboard the transport ship, Ji-un and Yong-su found themselves caught between worlds. Neither belonged fully to the coalition nor to humanity's cause. Ji-un wrestled with guilt, knowing she had played a part in awakening Earth's wrath. She replayed Kyung-min's warning in her mind. Humanity has evolved. These machines are tools, extensions of our resolve. Was this justice or vengeance? And who decided where the line lay? Yong-su, on the other hand, was consumed by anger and shame. His arrogance had blinded him to the truth, and now he faced the consequences of his actions. "This isn't fair," he muttered bitterly one evening as they drifted through space. "How could anyone expect us to know what we were dealing with?" "It's not about fairness," Ji-un replied quietly. "It's about responsibility. We walked into something far bigger than ourselves and we didn't respect it." Yong-su glared at her. "Respect? For killer machines? You're starting to sound like them." "They're not just machines," Ji-un shot back. "They're humanity's legacy. Everything we've seen proves that humans weren't primitive. They were advanced beyond anything we imagined, maybe even beyond what we deserve." Her words hung heavily in the air, neither comforting nor condemning. Both sat in silence, staring out at the stars, each lost in their own thoughts. As the coalition prepared for its second assault, Earth's network monitored their movements closely. Kyung-min appeared frequently to Ji-un, updating her on the state of humanity's defenses. "The coalition believes they have learned from their mistakes," he said during one visit. "But they underestimate the depth of our resolve. Their greed blinds them." Ji-un nodded, though unease lingered in her chest. "Will you destroy them all?" she asked hesitantly. "Even those who don't want to fight?" Kyung-min's form flickered, his expression unreadable. "Destruction is not our goal," he replied. "Balance is. Those who seek harmony will find it. Those who seek conquest will face judgment." The day of the assault arrived, and the coalition fleet descended upon Earth once again. This time, however, their approach was different. Instead of charging headlong into battle, they spread out across the solar system, launching probes and decoy ships to test Earth's defenses. When the drones responded, the coalition adjusted their tactics, attempting to isolate and disable key components of the network. For a while, it seemed to work. Several drones were disabled, and sections of Earth's automated systems went dark. Encouraged by their success, the coalition pressed forward, sending waves of ships toward the planet's surface. But just as they thought they had gained the upper hand, Earth struck back with terrifying ferocity. Gravity manipulators activated, creating artificial black holes that swallowed entire squadrons whole. Nanobots surged forth, consuming metal and converting it into reinforcements. AI-controlled vessels executed maneuvers so complex they defied logic, evading attacks and striking with pinpoint precision. The Coalition's forces crumbled under the relentless onslaught, their carefully laid plans unraveling before their eyes. Back on the transport ship, Jiun watched the battle unfold with growing dread. The screens showed endless streams of destruction, ships exploding, debris raining down onto Earth's surface, survivors fleeing in panic. She felt sick, knowing she had helped set these events into motion. "It's happening again," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "They're losing. Everyone's losing." Yongsu clenched his fists, his frustration boiling over. "Why won't they stop? Why does it always have to end like this?" "Because they refuse to listen," Jiun replied. "They think they can win, but they don't understand what they're fighting against. Humanity isn't just defending itself. It's protecting everything it left behind." As the Coalition's forces dwindled, desperation set in. Krasniks ordered his remaining ships to launch suicide runs, sacrificing themselves to breach Earth's defenses. Lysira, realizing the futility of further resistance, attempted to negotiate a retreat, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Vorax, driven mad by his failures, vowed to die fighting rather than admit defeat. In the final moments of the battle, Earth unleashed its ultimate weapon, a massive pulse of quantum energy that swept through the solar system, disabling every enemy vessel in an instant. The Coalition fleet was reduced to drifting hulks, their crews either dead or incapacitated. Silence fell over the battlefield, broken only by the faint hum of Earth's automated systems returning to standby mode. When the dust settled, the galaxy held its breath. Survivors limped back to their home worlds, carrying tales of unimaginable destruction. The Zarnok and Valith withdrew from the conflict entirely, vowing never to interfere with Earth again. As for the Xylarians, their empire lay in ruins, its once mighty leader disgraced and broken. Jiun stared at the aftermath, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. Humanity had defended itself, but at what cost? Countless lives had been lost, civilizations shattered, and fear sown across the stars. She turned to Hyungsu, who sat slumped in his chair, staring blankly at the screen. "What happens now?" she asked softly. Hyungsu shook his head. "I don't know. But one thing's for sure, we can't go back to how things were." Unbeknownst to them, Kyungmin materialized nearby, his presence calm yet resolute. "The galaxy has been given a choice," he said. "Those who seek peace will find it. Those who cling to greed and hatred will face consequences. This is not the end. It is a new beginning." Jiun looked at him, a flicker of hope sparking within her. Perhaps humanity's return wasn't meant to destroy, but to rebuild, to guide the galaxy toward a future where arrogance gave way to humility, and war yielded to unity. Only time would tell if the lessons of Earth would be heeded or ignored. Far away, among the stars, whispers of humanity's power continued to spread. Some laughed nervously, dismissing the stories as exaggerations. Others trembled, wondering when the next reckoning would come. And somewhere deep in the void, Earth waited, patient and eternal, its network alive with the echoes of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. The galaxy was quiet, unnervingly so. For days after Earth's second victory, no one dared to speak openly about what had happened. Fear hung thick in the air like a storm cloud, pressing down on every species, every empire, and every individual who called the stars home. The Zarnok withdrew into their hives, sealing themselves off from the rest of the galaxy. The Valith retreated to their underwater cities, their shimmering forms dimmed as if mourning the loss of peace. And the Xylarians, once proud rulers of vast territories, were reduced to scattered remnants. Their leader Vorax vanished without a trace. But silence could only last so long. Whispers began to spread, first among traders at distant spaceports, then through official channels between governments. Questions arose. Who were these humans? What did they want? Were they truly gods or something else entirely? Some believed humanity sought revenge for being forgotten. Others thought they aimed to reclaim their place as rulers of the galaxy. Few considered the possibility that humanity might have returned not to conquer, but to guide. Jiun sat alone in the transport ship, staring out at the stars. She felt torn between two worlds. Her own people, the Xylarians, whose arrogance had brought ruin upon themselves, and humanity, whose legacy she barely understood yet couldn't ignore. Yong-Su paced nearby, restless and angry, unable to accept that their mission had spiraled so far out of control. "We should leave," he muttered under his breath. "Find some corner of the galaxy where no one will bother us." "And do what?" Ji-Yun asked, turning to face him. "Pretend none of this ever happened? That's not an option anymore." Yong-Su stopped pacing and glared at her. "What choice do we have? Everyone thinks we're traitors, or worse, pawns of those machines. We can't go back to Xylar, and we sure as hell can't stay here." Ji-Yun sighed, knowing he was right. Their actions, or lack thereof, had painted them as outsiders. But running away wouldn't solve anything. Humanity's network had awakened, and its influence was spreading across the galaxy whether anyone liked it or not. Someone needed to bridge the gap between Earth and the rest of the stars. Someone needed to help others understand. Before she could respond, Kyung-min appeared before them, his flickering form steady despite the chaos around him. "You are not alone," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Humanity does not seek isolation. We seek balance." "Balance?" Yong-Su scoffed. "You call wiping out entire fleets balance?" Kyung-min tilted his head slightly, studying Yong-Su with an expression that seemed almost sad. "War is never chosen lightly. It is a response to threats, not a desire for destruction. Humanity has watched the galaxy for millennia, observing how younger species squabble over power and resources. Now, seeing the corruption and greed that plague your civilizations, we have decided to intervene." Ji-Un listened intently, her mind racing. "What kind of intervention?" she asked. "Will you keep fighting until everyone submits?" "No," Kyung-min replied. "Submission is not our goal. Understanding is. We offer a new path, one where all species work together, free from exploitation and tyranny. Those who resist will face consequences, yes, but those who embrace change will find harmony." Yong-Su crossed his arms, skeptical. "And how exactly does that work? You just rewrite the rules of the galaxy?" "In a way," Kyung-min admitted. "Humanity's network spans countless systems, monitoring activity and guiding decisions. With your help, we can reshape the galaxy into something better, a place where cooperation replaces conflict and wisdom triumphs over arrogance." Ji-Yun hesitated, weighing the implications. It sounded idealistic, almost too good to be true. But deep down, she believed Kyung-min's words carried truth. Humanity wasn't returning to dominate. They were offering a chance for redemption. The question was whether the galaxy would listen. Across the stars, reactions varied. Some alien leaders dismissed humanity's ultimatum as nonsense, refusing to believe that a long-dead race could dictate terms to the living. Others saw opportunity in the chaos, using fear of Earth's power to consolidate their own authority. But a growing number began to wonder if perhaps humanity's return wasn't punishment, but salvation. On a remote planet inhabited by the Quarren, a peaceful species, known for their art and philosophy, elders gathered to discuss the recent events. "Perhaps this is a test," one elder suggested, his voice soft but steady. "A challenge to see if we are worthy of coexisting with such greatness." Among the Quarren, rumors spread of humanity's benevolence, that they had spared certain ships during the battles, allowing survivors to carry messages of warning rather than death. Inspired, the Quarren sent envoys to neighboring worlds, urging them to consider humanity's offer of peace. Elsewhere, factions within the Zarnak and Valeth debated their next move. While many remained hostile, fearing another attack, others argued that submission might be the only way to survive. Slowly, alliances shifted, and tentative negotiations began. Representatives traveled to neutral zones, seeking common ground, and hoping to avoid further bloodshed. Meanwhile, Ji-Un found herself thrust into the role of ambassador. Guided by Kyung-min, she reached out to various species, sharing humanity's vision of unity and balance. At first, her efforts met resistance. Many viewed her as a puppet, a tool manipulated by Earth's machines. But as she spoke, her sincerity began to shine through. She told stories of Earth's beauty, its history, and the lessons humanity had learned from its own mistakes. Gradually, some began to listen. Hyung-soo, however, struggled to adapt. He resented being dragged into humanity's cause, feeling as though he'd lost control of his life. "Why should I care about any of this?" he snapped one evening, throwing his hands up in frustration. "This isn't my fight." "It's everyone's fight," Ji-yoon countered. "If we don't try to fix things now, the galaxy will fall apart completely. Is that what you want?" Hyung-soo didn't answer. Instead, he turned away, retreating into silence. Over time, though, even he began to see glimpses of hope. When he witnessed the Quarren creating works of art inspired by humanity's ideals, or when he heard tales of rival species setting aside old grudges to work toward a brighter future, he realized that maybe, just maybe, change was possible. As months passed, the galaxy slowly transformed. Under humanity's guidance, militarized governments dismantled their fleets, redirecting resources toward science, culture, and exploration. New councils formed, bringing together representatives from diverse species to address shared challenges. Conflicts still erupted occasionally, but they were resolved peacefully, guided by principles of mutual respect and understanding. Ji-eun became a symbol of this new era, traveling from world to promote humanity's vision. Hyung-soo accompanied her reluctantly at first, but eventually he found purpose in helping others see beyond their fears. Together, they worked alongside Kyung-min, ensuring that humanity's message reached even the most stubborn corners of the galaxy. One day, while visiting a newly established council chamber, Ji-yoon stood before a crowd of delegates from dozens of species. She looked out at their faces, young and old, organic and synthetic, each carrying the weight of their histories, and felt a surge of pride. "This is not the end of humanity's story," she said, her voice clear and strong. "It is the beginning of a new chapter for all of us." The delegates erupted into applause, their cheers echoing through the chamber. Outside, the stars twinkled brightly, indifferent yet watchful. Earth continued to pulse with life, its network alive with the hum of progress. Humanity had returned, not to rule, but to remind the galaxy of what it meant to evolve, not just technologically, but spiritually. And though whispers of fear still lingered among the stars, they were overshadowed by laughter. The kind born of relief, of hope, of unity. The galaxy remembered Earth not as a cradle of extinction, but as the birthplace of a new dawn.